Friends, this is the second video in a series of videos showing easy ways to customize your own knives. If you haven't seen the first video, please go to my playlist and check that out. In that video, we discussed different projects, decided on the materials, and cut out our handles for our knives and started getting them ready. In this video, we'll finish prepping the handles by drilling them out for using the Corby style bolts for holding the handles on. I'm going to show you how to use standard drill bits in order to accomplish this task. No need for a specialty drill bit. But first, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. It's what keeps the channel up and running. Thank you. Alright, so now that we have our micarta handles cut out to size, we need to line them up with the knife and make sure they are in the right position. Want to make sure there's plenty of coverage, they're not too small, and they're going to be, the Corby bolts are going to go where we need those. Lay those out, and that's going to give you an idea, because that's going to eventually affect the shape of the handle. So we already have the holes drilled in the knife blank, so we want to transfer those holes into the micarta handle. What I like to do is I like to do one side at a time. So I'm going to line it up, make sure my micarta is overlapping all the sides, and I'm going to tape it on there to secure it the best I can. Now once I drill the one side, both holes, I will tape the other handle on there securely and go through from the back side, the hole I already drilled, and drill the second side. So the second side will be on the bottom, and I'll use the first hole to line up the bottom hole. That's what's going to keep all the holes lined up perfectly. Now remember, if your knife blank doesn't have the holes pre-drilled, go to the first video and I'll show you the drill bits you need in order to drill those holes out in the proper location. Now the first drill bit we're going to use is going to be the same size as the hole in the knife blank and the center section of the Corby bolt. That's what's we're drilling here now. So I like to leave it a little loose because we're using that hole to line it up, and if it's rubbing a little bit on one side or the other, I just tap it with a hammer and get it to where it's not touching the knife blank at all. It's just going right down into that hole. So now I'll go ahead and turn it on, drill the hole. Nice sharp bit, nice even pressure. Don't force it, don't burn the micarta. Just nice and easy. Like I said, this is supposed to be fun. So just take your time and enjoy the process. Alright, once you get the first hole drilled nicely, you're just going to move it over and do the second hole. And then once we drill that hole, you're going to tape the second handle on there, flip it over, and use the hole you just drilled to line up the bit in the other handle, which will now be on the bottom. Once again, get it perfectly lined up. You don't feel any resistance on that drill bit as you're going in that lineup hole, and that means it's perfect. So you just tap it around with a hammer until you do, and now we're drilling that second hole. Just take it easy, line it up, let the bit clean itself. That way you got less heat built up in there. You don't want to burn up your drill bit. You want it to stay nice and sharp. And now we're ready to put a step in there for the larger portion of the Corby bolt. So the larger drill bit, we don't want to go all the way through because it won't have no clamp force on the handle. So I put this electrical tape on there, and that'll show me where to stop. Alright, so same thing. Now what we need to do here is we need to spin that larger drill bit in the hole to perfectly line it up. You don't want your step to be off to one side. That Corby bolt, is symmetrical all the way around, so your hole needs to be the same way. So just Put a little pressure on it, spin the chunk around, make sure that bit's centered in that hole. Don't clamp it down so hard in a vise it can't move, and that drill bit will help center itself if you just go nice and slow. Now keep cleaning the stuff out of your way so you can see what you're doing. You can push that electric tape right on up. It's only a visual aid, so you need to see what you're doing. So drill a little bit, get to about where you think it's going to be, stop early, clean it, double check it, bend over, whatever you need to do, look at it, but don't go too deep. You'll drill the hole out, you'll waste your handle. Like I said, move it forward, do the next one, and center that drill bit in there. Don't get in a hurry, make sure it's perfect. And then, like I said, light pressure, drill it, clean it, eyeball it, get it down to the proper depth. Then you still got to flip it over and do the other side. And once you get it all drilled out, it's going to look like this. Alright, so you want those counter bores to be nice and deep, but leave plenty of meat for the clamp force. Alright, because you're going to shape that handle and you don't want to grind the top of your Corby bolt off. So you want the Corby head of the bolt to be nice and deep in there, but leave enough in there that it can clamp that handle good. Okay, now I recommend taking the female portion, decide which side they're going to be on, because this is important. When you go to glue this thing up, you're going to have glue sitting there, and you don't want to be screwing around trying to figure out how your handles go on and all that. So make sure you know which side your females go in, make sure you know which side your males go in, and check fit it a couple times, you know, tighten it up, make sure the handle's sitting on there like it should. You don't want to be fighting this when you go to glue it. All that needs to be done right now. I recommend marking the left and right side, the top versus the bottom. That way, when you got the glue all sitting there ready to go, let's go ahead and take that tape off, because we need to get all the tape off because we're going to glue these together. Like I said, you know, if you're off just a little bit on a hole, you know, that handle could go on in one position, but you flip it, it's very easy to do when you're in a hurry. Oh, I put it down. Which side's the top? Which side's the bottom? Take your marker, go ahead and mark it. And have plenty of this masking tape on hand. You're going to want to change it out quite often. The longer you leave the stuff on, the harder it is to come off in one piece. You'd be peeling little pieces over and over. So every step, just pull it off, reapply new masking tape. It makes your job easier. Alright, so now we're going to break out the Sharpie, and we're going to sit here and stare at this thing and decide how we want to shape the handle. Hold it in your hand, maybe hold other knives, and start making you a plan. Alright, so I just want to make kind of a fish pattern on here, so I'm just going to go ahead and draw it out. I need to remember to leave it thick where the Corby bolts are. We don't want to go super thin because we risk grinding the head of that Corby bolt off. I'm going to make a nice ball that's going to fit in the palm of my hand, and then I want to give it a little tail down here. That's why I call it a fish pattern, because it's got a belly and then it's got a tail, and that tail's just want to keep it from sliding out of my hand. So my handle kind of go around that palm swell, and this will be just a little tail down there at the bottom I'm going to round off. But what you're really doing here is you're making sure you know what your plan is for the handle before you glue it up. You know where your pins are. If there's any changes that need to be made, now's the time, because this is the last time you're going to be able to take it apart and put it together. Everything from here forward is permanent. If you make a mistake, either you have a major repair to do, or you got to throw it in the trash and start over again, and that's wasting your time and money. So a little patience, plan it out, know exactly what you want to do. Your holes are in the right place. Everything's perfect. Everything goes together good. Everything comes together perfectly. You're going to be able to slap it together when the glue's wet and you're in a hurry trying to get it together. Everything's going to be perfect and you know exactly how it needs to go. And that is going to wrap up this video. The next video will be gluing the handles on and starting to shape the handles into the knife. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you like the video, and you got any comments, please leave them. Anything you'd like to see me make or customize, or we're still in the process of making these knives, so put in the comments if there's something you want to see. Other than that, don't forget about the giveaways. Make sure you subscribe to the channel in order to be in the giveaways, and thanks for viewing.